Alright, I thought I would make a video on free will, demons and angels. A really quick and short video, I think. Basically, you know how people call leftists demons and like Charlie Kirk an angel and so on? There's a reason for this. It's a structural reason. Um, Many people instinctively have, and I've suffered under this for some time until my discovery of the word agency through Sargon of Akkad and so on. Um, they have this belief that free will is either from freedom from God's influence or control, so total autonomy, or they have the belief that free will, means only freedom to obey God. And that's the Calvinist, like what they're loyal to and so on. And that's the demon and the angel. They don't have freedom beyond one choice at all times, forevermore. The reason why humans are going to be superior to angels and demons in heaven after the end of the world or something like that is because they have the potential for both from God and to God. Humans are below angels and demons at the moment, but they have the potential to rise above through their true freedom of freedom to obey or disobey. And the choice to obey infinitude and continued existence and enjoyment is what drives humans to heaven or superiority, and the choice against that is what drives people to hell and destruction. Um, this is a dynamic that plays out in life. It's not just a sort of metaphysical, like, oh, well, you live however you want, and you go to heaven or you go to hell, God just randomly zaps you, and so on. It's like a fundamental form of the way the world works in this life, and so on. And the important thing is to basically your best shot. I can't guarantee it 100%, but at least you got a better chance than anything else, is to trust that if you practice agency responsibly, then you will have the divine order or the ordering principle of the universe itself on your side. However that works. Evolution, God, doesn't matter. Either way, it works. And trust yourself, say 80-20 or 90-10% trust, distrust. A little bit of, and like knowing your limits is the sign of humility, basically. It's not about saying your limits are lower than they actually are. It's not about saying you're infinite. That's that's false humility, as they say, and that's pride, and so on. Uh, but hovering nearby your actual limits, a little bit of pushing, a little bit of retreating from your limits based on the situation, um, is actually a decent thing to do, and so on. You know, because you're never quite sure of your limits properly or something like that, but you're not, or never perfectly sure of your limits. So if you're in the position where it's safe to make a mistake in the um, pushing harder direction, then maybe you want to, and maybe if it's a risky situation, you you don't push quite so hard on your potential. Um, you know, and the goal, of course, is to learn over time, though, where your limits are, so that you can be in the zone, so to speak, of your best performance, um, actually, because that's when you're perfect, so to speak. I know that's not technically perfection, but you know what I mean when I say perfect. Your best, basically. Your absolute actual best. Not biting off more than you can chew, not sipping a drink of water when you're parched, but chugging as much as you can handle properly at that moment. Um, um, yeah. So the evolution of potential, or the devolution of potential, is like they both exist in us, and you want to evolve the potential, not shrink into nothingness. Now, granted, some people might confuse external things like power over others or money or everyone cheering you on or getting your way on like comfort food or something like that, pleasure. So that's power, honor, wealth, pleasure. Or like having sex with a lot of women or something like that. Um, are idols, idolatry, because they're not actual agency. I mentioned before in the video, you're a slave to your passion in that case, and that reduces agency. The reason why people don't like the idea of living with less, in some sense, is because too little reduces your agency capabilities, and too much want also reduces your agency capabilities, which is why addiction is bad. Addiction is bad. Because you always want more, right? You're never satisfied. And agency is the contentment or the Christian joy or Nietzsche's why to endure anyhow or your work-life balance or your um, um, stable mood and so on. And neuroticism, depression are the opposite of that in some sense. Um, and it's why people check out from the wider world to some extent because they feel like their agency is threatened if they care about these bigger things because they're beyond them at some level. Now, this is partly an explanation as to why people believe in monarchies or aristocracies because they want the best people who can handle it to handle it. But even in a democracy, you don't need literally everyone participating in the political process. You don't need it. It doesn't even happen, really. And that's why sorting mechanisms or culture towards responsible politics is important, but you cannot systematize it outside of the zeitgeist, which is embodied, not theorized and systematized. And it's an evolutionary thing. So natural selection, not purposeful breeding and stuff like that, in some sense. Now you can get to the very limits of purposeful selection in some ways. Like for instance, I mentioned the sex birth ratio thing of Aiden Paladin. or Aydin Paladin, Aydinpaladin. And if you notice a mechanism for better people being born, but and and so on, that isn't autistic the way classical eugenics is, just basically saying, look, a stable society breeds better people, in some sense, as long as it's got some challenges in it too, then you kind of understand the conservative position on why we don't want mass immigration and so on top of it, because it actually downgrades the entire human race on some level, and particularly us. And that's one of the reasons why the male preference and the abortion of female fetuses is bad, because it means they're having more children, which is not bad in of itself entirely, but it means that like 150 boys to every 100 girls is born, and the whole like finding a wife and having kids thing is out of reach for a lot of people. And that's kind of cruel in some sense. People don't like the conservatives because they kind of believe in like the a limited form of the weak shall perish. But on some level, it's actually fundamentally biologically true as well, where women's bodies, when stressed, will kill male fetuses in the womb if they're too weak. And it's a very nasty business, but it's not even conscious. It's not even like they think it. It's just a natural part of life. And I'm going to end with saying one thing, which is it's really important. It's really important. Nature can be cruel, but God is all loving. Mother Nature is cruel, Father God is all loving.